Every single day, without even realizing it, we mentally grade everyone we meet. The cashier who counts change slowly, the colleague who misses social cues, the stranger whose questions seem simple. But here's something we almost never question. What's actually happening inside a mind that operates on a completely different frequency than our own? What if the way we measure mental capacity tells us almost nothing about the depth of a human experience? Today, we're venturing into territory that makes most people uncomfortable: the psychology of profound cognitive limitation. Not to gawk or to pity, but to genuinely understand a form of consciousness so different from ours that it challenges everything we think we know about intelligence itself. Let's establish our foundation. IQ, that two-letter abbreviation we throw around so casually, actually attempts to quantify something remarkably specific: your ability to recognize patterns, solve novel problems, and process information quickly. The average settles at 100 by design. When scores drop below 70, psychologists apply the label intellectual disability. Below 40 or 50, we're talking about severe to profound impairment. But here's where everything gets interesting, and I mean genuinely neurologically interesting. An extremely low IQ doesn't describe a broken brain. It describes a brain organized around a completely different operating system. The hardware isn't defective. The architecture is simply arranged to prioritize different functions than yours does. Think about the prefrontal cortex for a moment. This is your brain's executive suite, handling abstract reasoning, future planning, impulse control, and complex decision-making. In individuals with profoundly low IQ, neuroimaging consistently reveals something striking: reduced connectivity in this region and significantly slower neural transmission speeds. Tasks you perform without conscious thought. Understanding that a raised eyebrow signals skepticism. Recognizing that one action will inevitably lead to a specific consequence. Navigating the unspoken rules of a conversation. These require Herculean cognitive effort. Sometimes, those neural pathways never fully develop at all. And yet, here's the paradox that keeps cognitive psychologists up at night. The same individuals often display remarkable strengths in domains we rarely associate with intelligence. Emotional sensitivity that borders on psychic. Procedural memory that allows them to master routines through sheer repetition. A capacity for loyalty and affection that many highly intelligent people struggle to match. Their world isn't constructed from abstract concepts and hypothetical scenarios. It's built from direct, concrete experience: the warmth of sunlight on skin, the security of a familiar voice, the comfort of a predictable routine, the raw emotional texture of human connection without the filter of overanalysis. And within that world, countless individuals navigate with remarkable consistency, coherence, and even wisdom of a certain kind. This brings us to a question that cuts to the core of how we value human beings. What if much of what we call intelligence is simply adaptation to a very specific type of environment? The environment of symbolic manipulation, abstract reasoning, and rapid information processing that modern academic and professional settings demand? Psychologist Howard Gardner looked at our culture's obsession with a single intelligence score and essentially said, this doesn't capture what actually matters. He proposed multiple intelligences: linguistic, logical mathematical, spatial, bodily kinesthetic, musical, interpersonal, intrapersonal, naturalistic. Each represents a different way of engaging with the world. Each has its own neurological foundation. Each deserves to be called intelligence. Standardized IQ tests were never designed to measure human worth. They were designed for one purpose only: to predict academic performance. That's it. They don't measure creativity. They don't measure wisdom. They don't measure emotional depth. They don't measure the capacity for genuine connection. They don't measure moral character, and they certainly don't measure the depth of a person's inner life. Here's what the research actually shows about individuals with profoundly low IQ. Studies on social attachment reveal something beautiful and challenging. These individuals form deep, meaningful bonds. They demonstrate fierce loyalty to family and caregivers. They show genuine affection. And perhaps most striking, they display remarkable responsiveness to emotional tone: the warmth in a voice, the gentleness in a touch, the safety in a familiar presence. The emotional brain, the limbic system, operates largely independently from the abstract reasoning centers in the prefrontal cortex. It processes different information through different channels toward different ends. And in many individuals with profound cognitive limitation, this system operates with extraordinary richness. They feel deeply. They connect genuinely. They love completely. So what's the actual psychological takeaway here? Not the simplistic, everyone is smart in their own way sentiment that fills greeting cards and corporate diversity trainings. Something more challenging, something more unsettling. When we examine extremely low IQ through a rigorous psychological lens, it forces us to confront the possibility that our definition of intelligence is catastrophically narrow. We've built an entire society around rewarding one specific type of cognitive processing, the type that excels at standardized tests, that thrives in corporate environments, that manipulates symbols and concepts with fluency. And we've confused success in this narrow domain with human value itself. The brain is always adapting, always finding ways to process information, form connections, and create meaning within its own unique architectural constraints. A brain with profoundly low IQ isn't failing to be your brain. It's succeeding at being itself. It's finding coherence and meaning through different channels, through sensation, through routine, through emotional resonance, through the pure, unmediated experience of being alive in a body that exists in relationship with other bodies. And maybe the most thought-provoking insight, the one that should genuinely stop you in your tracks, is this. The experiences we most associate with being fully, deeply human, love, loyalty, joy, grief, connection, belonging, meaning, none of these live in the prefrontal cortex. They don't require abstract reasoning. They don't depend on processing speed. They don't correlate with IQ scores, and they live much deeper. In ancient neural structures we share with creatures who never solved a single equation or composed a single sentence, in regions of the brain that no multiple-choice test was ever designed to reach. In the fundamental architecture of consciousness itself, before intelligence, as we define it, ever enters the picture. Understanding this doesn't just change how we see people with low IQ. It changes how we understand ourselves. It challenges the very foundation of how we assign value to human beings. And it raises a question that none of our prestigious universities or influential publications seem willing to ask. What if we've been measuring the wrong thing all along? What if the capacity for abstract reasoning, for all its practical utility, is just one small facet of a much larger, much more mysterious phenomenon we call consciousness? What if the people we've been dismissing as low intelligence are actually living proof that the most important things can't be measured at all? If this reframing of intelligence resonated with you, if it challenged something, if it opened something, if it raised questions you haven't been asking, please hit that like button. It tells the algorithm that conversations like this matter. And drop a comment below with your answer to the question we'll leave pinned. Because this conversation shouldn't end when the video does. It's just getting started.